Hey, family, and welcome back to another episode of Excellence in Everything Live. We are in season 3, and this year I wanted to bring more credibility and competency, very strategic learning things to the forefront as it relates to communications, because y'all know I like to nerd out about that. So we have a special guest today. I cannot wait to share her with you. Today we're going to be talking about training your voice to speak with power. We'll be right back right after the intro. So, if you have not yet met me, my name is Linnitahosten, and I have the privilege of being a nerd about all things communication. I've always been fascinated about it since college. I started off traveling the country as a keynote speaker, and I learned that people were interested in developing the communication skill, but didn't always necessarily have, I would say, the courage to do so. This year, we founded Vocal Value to help bring awareness and the skill set so that more professionals can develop a level of confidence and a level of competency as they're communicating, not just in the workplace, but also in their homes. So Excellence in Everything Live is my podcast to bring you those practical communication skills so that you can continue to improve your everyday communication. I would be remiss if I did not invite you to my upcoming public speaking class, April 27th. It's called Stage Power Intensive. And don't be what they call intimidated by the word stage power. A stage is your child's IEP meeting. A stage is also appearing in court, speaking at a wedding, toasting. A stage is any opportunity you have to share your voice, no matter who is in the room. And I just feel like we have the opportunity to polish our communication skills in a way in which when we do present, we're doing so with intentionality. So if you're interested in learning more information about Stage Power Intensive, you can go to stagepowerintensive.com. Registration is open, and you can grab that early bird rate through February through Friday, March 27th. All right, so today's guest I actually found on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, and we're not connected on LinkedIn, I encourage you to do so. Drop your LinkedIn profile in the comments. I'll be happy to connect with you. But I found her on LinkedIn. She's also a Goldman Sachs 10KSB alumni, and so am I. And when you are in that program, you got a real business. So it's no facade because there's some technical and legal things that you have to provide. And so not only is she the founder and chief voice whisperer of the Speech and Voice Care Center, she's a certified and competent speech language pathologist. And I cannot wait to share her with you. Before I stalked her, well, while I was stalking her, I went to go see what was folks saying about how they helped her. And so you can see here, Mario in Houston said that he was able to improve his communication skills and his voice, and it was beyond his expectations. Truly a voice therapist, not only a vocal coach. And the total professional treatment for your speech, you can find out what's inhibiting your voice. Listen, Mario was going into details, and I hate to be gender biased, but usually men don't have that many details, so our system must have served him well. Then Michael said, our guest today has been the most help in him obtaining his singing voice back again. He suffered cancer and lost usage of his vocal cords and the ability to sing. With the vocal exercises and therapy, he was able to regain his voice back and sing both tenor and bass. Wow. Dr. Gibson, he says he owes you dearly. I'm so excited to have you. These are some powerful, I would say, testimonies about how you show up in the world.
Thank you so much for having me. Just seeing that, especially from Michael, and seeing the date from 2018, I was thinking, I've been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And you've been doing it well. Because if you were able to get those results, and that was years ago, we can't imagine what you're able to do today. So, in your own words, who are you? I mean, we can do our research, but how would you like to be, I guess, introduced to the world?
Well, I have really been growing into owning that I am the voice whisperer and what all that means. Because for the longest, as a voice therapist, which is a specialized speech pathologist, and voice has been my thing, and I'm a voice nerd, so I would say that voice whisperer, I think, just sounds better in the public, but it just means that I have put a lot of time and work
Mm,
into studying not only communication, but the specific aspect of the
mm,
voice. And beyond that, I provide a service to people that is empowering and that is
mm,
very much important to me. So I'm accepting the term voice whisperer. And believe it or not, it was Mario who named me that. And I said, you know what, I'll take it, because when I was in Goldman Sachs, I was trying to figure out how do I explain what I do for people, because I stepped outside of just the clinical way of providing service and I started focusing on holistic
mm,
voice care and voice
mm,
whisperer. But above all that, I'm a girl who lives in Texas, Southern at my heart. I love my cowboy boots and I love people, and I'm passionate about them finding their purpose.
mm. Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you and all of your voice whisperiness and all of your cowgirl boots. Tell me, what do you think makes a powerful vocal presenter? What makes a person have that powerful presence?
Being, number one, be, do, have is something that was transformative in my life when I understood that. Most people think about what they want and how they obtain that. But when I learned it's who you be, your amness, your isness, and from a spiritual aspect, it's when you have an understanding of your power, then you can harness that and share who you are with the world via the voice as that
Mm,
vehicle of expression, because it's that human quality and how we show up in this space. And when you have an understanding of who you are, which is a lot of the
mm,
work that I do with my clients, is that in that B space and the attitude space and your belief systems. And when
mm,
you tap into that along with your skills, and that's
mm,
understanding how the voice works as an instrument, then you are
mm,
able to leverage it in a way that can really reach people and show who you are. It's how we know that somebody that we love and we know how their voice normally sounds, and then they don't
mm,
sound like themselves on the call. You don't have
mm,
to see them and you can know that something is not right. So when you really tap into all of who you are, you get to express that through your voice. And then
mm,
also authenticity, when you are not trying to show up as anyone else, then
mm,
you get to be the best version of yourself and you get to work on, again, just showing that to your audience. Because as you said, it's not just about being on a stage. That's to your children, that's to your boss, that's to your friends, and you get to communicate your emotions through your voice, and you do
mm,
that in a powerful way and in a way that connects when you are really dialed in here.
mm. I came across this video on Instagram that said something to the effect of your tone has a personality. How important do you think tone plays in our verbal communication?
If you've heard, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you do, it's
Mm-hmm.
how you do it. Tone is paramount in communication, because you can say the kindest words and have the purest intention behind it. However, if your tone does not match, then your message can be lost. It can be the source of conflict. It can really, we'll just say it can make or break you, because that tone, that is how you fine tune the message. Again, that's that human aspect. That's how you show your emotion. That's how you show your energy. I like to talk to my clients about the understanding that the voice is energy. And
Mm.
I'll talk to them about it being like your handshake. Say, for instance, you're on stage and your tone of voice can be very warm and it can be inviting. You can reach out and give that extension. You can give somebody a verbal hug through your voice. You can comfort them when they're going through a tough time. Or if they need a little excitement, you can energize them. You can use that to help to navigate conversations, take people on a journey. Or if your tone is harsh, you can shut them down and block communication altogether. And then there's just that aspect of creation. What do you want to create? And your tone helps you to create that environment or create the results that you want in a communication exchange, and understanding that and then leveraging that can really make a difference in sharing your messages with the people who need them the most.
Hmm. Yeah, the part about the being, I guess, I always say we're responsible for how we're communicating if we want our communication to be received well and some
Mm-hmm.
form of response to take place. And when I look back at some of the videos when I very first began using my voice, and not just on a platform, but I noticed that my tone has changed. Now, I don't know if that has something to do from an emotional place, from a place of confidence. It might. But it's interesting. There's a sensitivity that I currently have now where I naturally have a high pitched voice. So I've kind of trained myself to not speak that way because I learned that the pitch of your voice is correlated to how long a person can like sustain listening to you for a duration of time. And I thought that was so interesting. So, for our high pitched voice people who speak, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, we're gonna be one, everybody. Like, so what advice would you give to those people, or even the folks that go, I don't even know if that's a good example, but what advice would you give to those high and low pitch vocalists, like vocal communicators?
That's so good. I love that the high pitch. You were like, "I'm here for it." The low pitch down. I tell my clients, go very white. When you go very white, that's deep, and you're going in your chest. Pitch definitely is something that can be shaped. And if you do it in a healthy way, you can get lasting results that will take your
Mm,
voice a long way. First, to talk about pitch, I must talk about the science of voice and how the voice works. We have our lungs, that's our breath support. And breathing is very important in supporting your speech. I like to tell clients your voice is supported by your speech. That's something that if you connect to that, that makes a difference. And
mm,
then once your voice travels from your lungs, it goes through your system and to your voice box or your vocal cords. And your pitch is in correlation to the speed of vibration of your vocal cords and then also your system. So if you have a larger voice box and then your vocal cords are vibrating at a slower pitch, that is equated to a lower pitch or tone. But then the faster you vibrate, or maybe you have a smaller voice box or thinner vocal cords, or they could be tight and they can be more stretched out, then you're gonna produce a higher pitch. That's just the best way to do it without getting too voice nerd and voice like deep about it. But shaping your pitch can make a difference, and also that can be a result of tension. That could be nervousness that could make you go higher in your pitch.
mm,
And then, so we talked about your breath support, we talked about your vocal cords, and then also your posture. So if you have a tight jaw, that can impact the quality of your voice. And then if you resonance matters too. So if you're holding your voice back, your voice can sound more restricted. You see me using my hands a lot because I do that to demonstrate. But then when you move your voice up and more forward into the mask of your face, which is ideal, then it's more supported. And if you're really trying to modulate your pitch, it's important to understand that supporting your voice, because I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm listening to the quality of your voice, and it's so soothing, it's very relaxing, and you sound very calm and confident. And what I'm hearing that's attached to that, just to use you as an example, is that you're supporting your voice and it's placed more forward in the mask of your face. So it's giving you more resonance. And so if you're trying to bring your pitch down into a more resonant voice that people can relate to, because like you said, that higher pitch, and especially staying in that higher pitch, that can be, it sounds monotonous after a while, but a voice and a quality that people listen to, there's science behind, people do pay more attention to lower tones and just the feeling that they get from it. And then also it really is unfortunate, but your intellect or your competency can be connected to that too, because a higher pitched voice can make you sound more nervous and unsure. And I don't really know. But it sounds like you have that richness and tone to your voice because it's supported. And it sounds like you learn to modulate your pitch in a very healthy way. Yes, pitch is important. And yes, it can be changed. And if your voice feels too low, then we're getting into gender. If your voice, because women come to me because they also feel like my voice is too deep, but there's a range of what's considered to be standard or norm for men and women. However, if you don't like the pitch or the quality of your voice, you can make some changes to it. That's the best answer without going too deep. It's changeable, and
Mm.
it does have an impact on listener perception.
Oh my goodness, this is so good. So good. You know, a lot of people say, I don't like listening to my voice. I don't like to hear myself speak. And I used to say that too when I first began. I used to do the church announcements. You couldn't see me, you could only hear my voice over visuals. And I would hate to be in the sanctuary when it was playing. Well, I started that in 2016, but now it doesn't bother me. I guess I've trained myself to listen. But I think sometimes people have a vocal insecurity. They've maybe associated, like you said, competency and confidence with a certain kind of sound, and they don't see the alignment in their sound and what they deem as competent and confidence. So I hear
Yeah.
that a lot. I hear that a lot.
It's true. And how we hear other people is through air conduction. That's the reason and the science behind it. And when we hear ourselves through the bones in our inner ear, and it
Mm.
sounds more resonant. And then some in the air, it might sound higher, it might sound thinner, however people describe their voices. But then there is a mismatch in our self perception. It's how I think I sound
Mm.
versus how I actually sound. And
Mm.
it's again, it's related to the science of how we hear ourselves. And you did the great thing. You listen to yourself. And the way to overcome that and get used to the sound of your voice so it's not jarring when you do hear it is to record yourself and you listen, you can play it back, and it will give you so much valuable information on your voice, even if you want to adjust.
Mm. I tell my clients this all the time, and not from a vocal place, but from a visual place. We need to see what your body is doing when you're communicating, because if you haven't yet learned to manage your body language, then you can't control it. Like having an idea of what's happening. And I think you're saying the same thing for vocals. Like you
Mhm.
have to record the sound and play it back and hear there, listen to the tonality and the vocal variation and your when do you pitch or peak. And it's so interesting sometimes when when I meet people and they're speaking, and I hate that I'm like this. Shalonda, I want to say I don't like that I'm like this. But I
Uh-huh.
hear everything. Like the intonation that they put at every sentence. We're so happy. Yeah. We're going to do great. And I'm like, just turn that off. I want to say that, but they don't have the
Relax.
awareness that I have. So it's a learning opportunity. And I think if people were to listen, like you said, play back a recording, they would say, wow, there's a lot of like repetition in my pitch. Is that intentional? Am I nervous? So that is a great point. Okay,
You're
so
nerding out. I love it. It's fine.
what are two things that an everyday person can do to prepare to use their voice?
Warm up is key. Most people think that they have to be Beyonce or a performer or on stage of some sort to warm up, but you're always communicating, and that's if you're on a phone, if you are in a conversation and you're using your voice. Most people use their voices about, if you're thinking 40 hours, think about your work week. If you're using your voice on average about 40 hours per week, a vocal athlete or someone who speaks professionally might use their voice in excess of 50 plus hours. One of my clients, when we did the math, she used her voice over 80 hours per week. Some people maybe 100 hours per week. And in the world of social influencer, and we're always on camera, there's so many
Mm.
opportunities to communicate. So warming up is key because you're preparing your instrument for this marathon that you're getting ready to do with your voice all day long if you are a what we call an occupational voice user. And one of those things that you can do, and I have my cup. You don't have to have a straw. I'll show you what you do if you don't have a straw. But simple straw, cup of water, or even just the straw, and you get to tap into your inner 8-year old, and I'll stand a bit, blowing bubbles. And then you can do that. I'm doing what's called pitch glides, and these are vocal aerobics for your vocal cords. And again, how that works, the water creates a backflow of pressure, which takes all of that stress and work off of the vocal cords, and it helps to bring your voice forward, and it helps you to stretch those vocal cords, like stretching your muscles before you actually play a sport or go walking or go running. This, just doing something as simple as this and learning a regimen for vocal warm-ups. If you don't have it, you can do a lip trill and do some vocal play. That's awesome for your voice. And one of my favorites is tongue twisters. I do that. I do a Twisted Tuesday every Tuesday or semi regularly. I like to post a different tongue twister to help people because, one, that's going to help you with your articulation. So if you're articulating your message clearly, your voice is activated, it makes a difference in
Mm.
your delivery and your articulation of your thoughts and your expression.
Wow. I have never seen that exercise. I'm going to be so childlike. I'm going to try. I did the tongue twisters, but I've never heard of that blowing. I'm going to try it. And you should too if you're watching this podcast and you
Straw,
use your
yeah.
voice. you
Put a
called
straw in
uh,
the water and bubble.
you called us a vocal athlete. You mentioned one of your clients is using their voice almost 80 hours a day. Wow.
Per week. Yep,
A
per week.
week.
Hmm. Yes, a
Mm.
vocal athlete is a person who uses their voice to make a living, or again, in our profession, we call them occupational voice users. And we think, again, that is a Mariah Carey. We think someone who's a singer and at the top of their game, but it's also speakers. That's you too.
Mm.
That's the person who's listening. That's the trainer. That was one of
Mm.
my clients, a trainer for an oil and gas company, and she might train and do a
Mm.
workshop in her company here in Houston for 6 hours out of the day, and
Mm.
then jump on a plane to go to Dubai to train staff over there too. So now you're on
Mm.
the plane, there's dry air, there are all these aspects, and then you're wondering why your voice is
Mm.
raspy, your voice is tired, you're having pain when you're speaking. It's because, one, it's the muscles, your vocal cords are muscles. When you think about that, the
Mm.
muscles in your neck, the muscles in your body. And when you start to see yourself as an athlete, you think, what do they have? They have a regimen, they have a mindset, they prepare to be at the top of their game. And that's why it's important to me to share these type messages with public speakers, because you need to prepare as such, because speaking is a
Mm.
sport. Like you said, you are a student of communication and speaking, and even though you're at the top of your game, you never stop studying, you never stop
Yep.
preparing and learning. And when we see ourselves that way, that's that B, right? That's
Mm.
that be do have. And when you see yourself and you identify as a vocal athlete, then you prepare as such.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you speaking my language, Shulunda. Oh, you speaking my language. What final words or remarks would you give to someone who's watching today? They're trying to decide, like, is that something that I should consider, or should I reach out? What would you tell them?
Short answer is yes. But the why is your voice is currency. It's your money maker. It's how you make a living. It's how you share your messages. And when you we have a disconnect from the body when it comes to the voice. That is a part of your body, it's a part of your system. And when you take care of your body and your
Mm.
voice, you're taking care of what takes care of you. It can make a difference in elevating in leadership, elevating in business, making the impact that you need, and ultimately your bottom line. And it needs to be a part of your success strategy or your career growth or your professional development strategy. And just like you get a coach for business, you get a coach for your presentations, it's also important to get someone to coach you to really elevate your voice.
Mm, awesome. And where can people find you, Shulunda?
I am all over these social media streets. I know that just sounds so professional. I have to throw street in there at some point. But I'm on LinkedIn at Shuley Gibson. You can find me on Instagram sharing my videos, same thing, Shuley Gibson. On YouTube, just look up Shuley Gibson. TikTok, and you'll get tongue twister videos if you want short tips. But if you want to reach out to me, then I guess I can give you should I give them my email? How do you want to do it? You can
Sure.
reach out.
Yep, you can do that. I can also provide these in the show descriptions as well. Like,
Yeah, provide them
however
in the
you.
show descriptions, and then you can reach
Okay.
me at, again, Shuley, Shulie, at ShuleyGibson.com.
Awesome. We're so glad to have you, Shalonda, aka Shuli, the voice whisperer. No one has said it better than this. And thank you. That's all I'm gonna say is thank you.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
I'm glad Shalonda had fun. I hope you had fun and you learned something. Don't forget, if you are a vocal athlete, as Shuli said, oh my goodness, that's mind blowing. I'm certainly that, and a lot of people that I'm connected to, they are that. She also reminded us that your voice is your currency, and it's related to your perceived competence and confidence. Y'all, these are things I've been saying, but I didn't quite have the science like Shuli had to back it up. So please go follow Shuli Gibson online on all platforms. I'll also link her contact information in the show notes. Super excited about this episode and all of the ones to come. I appreciate you for tuning in. Again, if you are interested in checking out our upcoming public speaking class called Stage Power Intensive, I invite you to check it out. StagePowerIntensive.com. Early bird is through March 27th. That's the last day to get the early bird rate. You can find out more information at StagePowerIntensive.com. I'll see you next time. Bye now.